Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane, and you can text us on 81215 or follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
Morning.
Morning. Here with all those news updates for you this morning.
Yeah, I just feel a bit uninformed this morning. I don't know what that's all about.
Well, in case you're listening to this on a podcast and thinking, what's the problem, in like 3 days' time, I was supposed to press a thing that introduced the news, and I pressed the adverts. And obviously, once you press the adverts, they have to go. You can't stop the adverts.
Actually, though, mentioning of the podcasts does highlight how sort of redundant the news is, really, because we frequently get people email that listen to the podcast like a year and a half after they've happened.
You're such a Heat magazine reader.
Yeah, but that means there shouldn't be a big quiz of the year, then, on Channel 4.
There isn't, it's Big Fat Quiz.
Oh, whatever.
May I also...
I think it's Big Rubbish Quiz of the year.
No, how very day.
I'm only saying that because Emily used to work
can I just say there was an awkward moment between you and Daisy?
Yes.
Because when it emerged... I do like a post-mortem, you know I do.
Yes.
That the news hadn't been pressed, the news button, you said, well, you pressed the wrong button as well.
Yeah, well, that's true. What she did, you said, she conveniently forgot that.
I think you each pressed
But the news was totally my fault. Let me take that rap.
I'm calling it collective responsibility.
No, it was my fault.
Okay.
I pressed the advert. Anyway, do you think people want to hear this rubbish?
I think they wanted to hear the news, didn't they?
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you the news. It's quite cold.
Yeah, that is
okay.
Good. Yeah,
I saw the news this morning. It wasn't.
That's not how the song goes.
It wasn't
a
knockout
today, oh boy.
Knockout.
Look, I've had an odd day. I'll be honest with you.
Why?
Yeah. So I got in my lift. I live on the 11th floor.
Mm-hmm.
Penthouse.
And I do watch the cruises below. And I got in the lift at, what would it be, 20 to 7 this morning. It's quite early. And also, the flats we live in, there's lots of people that they go home weekends. So weekends, you never see anyone in the lift.
Oh, yeah.
So I got in, and a woman got in. It stops on the 5th floor. A woman got in. I thought, that's unusual, especially this time of the morning. And then a very tall woman come in to the lift, who I could see quite quickly was a man.
Oh.
I thought eyes front. Just, it's fine. It's fine. And then she said, can you hold the button a bit? There's another drag queen on the way, the woman said.
They did not.
Yeah. And I thought, okay. And so I'm in the lift with...
3 in a lift?
No.
Yeah, well, just one woman, and 2 very tall, statuesque, and with almost no clothes on them. I mean, tiny, short things.
A hot pan.
And it shows something about how on rock and roll I am, that one of my first thoughts was they're going to be cold when they get out.
Perishing, yeah.
But it probably adds to the effect. Colder they get, more realistic. So, and I had somewhere in the back of my head that it's lucky to shake hands with a transvestite.
What?
But I think I've got mixed up with chimney sweep. Have I?
Yeah, I think maybe.
That celebrated old wives' tale.
Is it not lucky to shake hands with a transsexual?
No.
Is that today's texting?
I mean, not post-op. Pre-op, I think it is.
Is it today's texting? Is it lucky to shake hands with a trans?
Yeah, in a list of obscure superstitious beliefs. But it was, I don't know, I found it quite exciting. And then when we got out the lift...
So can I just establish the dramatis person? There's one woman and 2 drag queens.
Yes.
At this point in time.
And me.
And you. I know, I didn't include you in that Venn diagram.
In a lift. I mean, if the lift had stuck, it would have been up to us to continue the population.
Yeah.
And that would have been worth seeing.
Awkward moment for the lady in the lift, I would have thought so.
Yeah. Well, the real awkward moment is surely for the 2 drag queens. Because me and the lady, we're all right with continuing the population.
Yeah. Well, you say that.
What they're going to do, toss a coin? Anyway, it might be a bit early for this debate.
So did they get into a people carrier? They strike me as very people carrier.
No, I think they were drag racing. No. No, what happened was we all got out the lift together, and the concierge, who was on the front desk, looked at me with a look that said, don't you showbiz people ever learn? Hey? In the very heat, the white heat of scandal, you still have to continue your terrible ways. That was a look I got. Anyway, there'll be more from Frank Skinner's Why I Live in London tomorrow night on Radio 4. And now a book at bedtime. Ian Cranky reads Little Women.
Frank Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
So, meanwhile, we've left the lift with you and the two drag queens.
Yeah. But last night, I had one of the worst nights of my entire life. So what about that?
Well, what happened?
The drag queens were late.
No, they didn't turn up. They went to the wrong flat.
Book them for 8.
They went to that Tory MP's flat. Such a Tory MP.
Shut up, we have got Tory MPs.
Oh, I'm
in
sorry.
our flat.
I'm sorry about that. Lovely people.
We've got, can I say, we've got MPs from all the parties.
Oh, yeah.
When I say the parties, I mean those ones they have on the 5th floor with the drag queens. Anyway,
why was
maybe I shouldn't have named the floor, looking back. Nevertheless, no, last night, a friend of mine was, he had a birthday do, and he had it at Lord's.
Oh.
Not Lourdes.
No.
Lord's.
No pilgrimages.
No. And it was, he combined it with an indoor cricket tournament. And
Lovely.
I thought, oh, no. Well, now, I used to play cricket twice a week, but I was rubbish then. I haven't played for 6 years, so I just thought I'm going to come and just humiliate myself. And I said to everyone before, they said, "Do you play much cricket?" And I said, "Look, I'm rubbish. Actually, I didn't use that word, but I'm changing for what the word I actually used, which was 4 letters. I said, I'm rubbish. I've always been rubbish, and now I was rubbish when I played regularly. I hadn't played for 6 years. So anyway, so I went in and to bat.
I know, I've just seen a picture. It's just been sent in. Carry on.
Oh, God. I went in to bat.
You look, can I just say, sorry to interrupt, you look pretty hot, I have to say.
I was hot. I sweat quickly.
Okay.
So I went into bat, and first ball I missed by about 3 feet, and the second ball...
That sounds bad.
I was bowled again. So I actually needn't have taken my bat. If I'd gone into bat without my bat, nothing would have changed at all from what happened.
Oh, dear.
But I was never that good with the bat, right? But I could bowl a little bit, right? So I thought, well, at least I'll get a bowl, and people think, oh, actually, he's actually all right. So I came into and something's happened to me. Like my whole back and arm has developed into a crab claw.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'd come into bowl, and honestly, the ball was bouncing like 2 feet away from my feet. I was just basically throwing the ball into the ground, trying to bowl. I mean, over and out. From a distance, it must have looked like a tantrum. Just like a man just throwing a cricket. And I thought, what is going on? And I couldn't, dartitis. Have you ever heard of that?
No, it's just...
So when a bloke cannot let go of the dart.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's dart players get it, obviously.
Oh, Eric must have some of
Non-dart
that.
players tend not to get it.
Yeah.
If they get it, they don't know.
Oh.
But it was different from the yips. Is it different from that?
Maybe it is a bit like...
Excuse me.
Sorry. Yeah, come on. That was a long time ago, the World War II. But it was so bad that I spoilt the game. It wasn't just bad for me. I felt I spoilt it for everybody. I was like a virus in a computer.
But there's now been 2 pictures of you sent playing it.
Can I just... doesn't he look good?
Well, in the second one, it looks more like he's doing capoeira than playing cricket.
Capoeira, capoeira.
Can I ask, Frank, is this your garb, or did you loan it?
No, I brought my own garb.
Got your own white?
That was the terrible thing. Is when
he's got all the gear, no idea. Terrible.
When I got back, disgraced, humiliated and depressed, I was sleeping in the spare room last night, and I got in and I could see the white glow of the cricket gear in the corner that I'd taken off. I had to get out and put it into a cupboard, because I thought, I can't have that looking at me all night.
Well, of course, with your playing in such a low energy, like not very good way, you didn't last long in bat, so there wouldn't have even been any perspiration, and it wouldn't have needed a wash.
Oh
after
no,
that.
no, humiliation. You must remember from your stand-up career. Humiliation, it can make you very hot, very hot. Humiliation.
Not sure I like your cricketing career being compared to my stand-up career.
Honestly, God, it was so terrible. I can't tell you. And I slightly spoilt the evening for everyone by very early on.
What did you do?
Very early on in the dressing room, I up-fronted the whole concept of banter.
You did what?
So I said, so this is someone said something a bit joking. I said, this is banter, isn't it? I thought I was anticipating banter. That's what happens in dressing rooms. And then everybody got self-conscious about banter.
Yes, that's what will happen.
Cringing.
Yeah,
Oh my God, why do you do it?
well, I just thought,
Why?
I've identified banter, and it's like...
Don't ruin the social order.
yeah, and I think after everyone got... the banter...
Awkward?
Banter became an issue.
Everyone
That's
got
what
awkward?
happened. Yeah, but, they need to know that as a man in my line of work...
Yeah.
My line of work.
When the professional cricketers and semi-pros were watching me try to bowl, that was how I felt when I was listening to their banter. They need to be fair on me, I think.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
The terrible thing was, as I went to sleep, I thought, but what about, I've got a son now. And I had ideas of me and him going down the park and showing him it, and that's all gone.
Well, he'll have heard about this embarrassment by now.
Yeah, well, luckily I'm in a position where I can hire a series of professional coaches for him. So, every cloud.
Yeah.
I don't like the baseball cap on the wickets.
Nothing to do with me. You're still getting photos.
Yes.
I look great in the photos. The camera can lie. Anyway,
Okay.
it's been a fabulous week for one of my heroes,
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
that?
Kate
Oh.
Winslet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
I love
Alan,
Kate
and Alan's
Winslet.
nemesis,
Barlow.
Gary Barlow.
You've got to let that go.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, I think you do. It's just burning
are
you
you
up
swearing
inside.
up to each other?
I'll let go what I choose to let go.
Oh, well. Oh, okay.
For those of you that haven't heard, I'm speaking to the listenership now. Gary Barlow stole a part off me and Miranda. Well, actually, some people
Hold on, he
gave
got a part
He got
that
a part
you were
in
up
Miranda.
for. He didn't steal your part.
down to the last two. That's-
Yeah, well, hence
He-
not your part.
Yeah, true.
To be fair,
that.
if it's you and Gary Barlow... I mean, Gary Barlow is a national treasure.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm not even borderline.
He got...
He got an OB for turning up for a meeting about the Queen's Jubilee.
Is
He
it
got an
OBE?
Not an OBE, whatever
for
it is.
being
What did I say?
OB.
OB outside broadcast.
He got an
You were
yeah, he got
thinking
that.
you're thinking of your cricket broadcasts, OBs.
Oh, don't bring up cricket ever again.
He got an OBE.
Yeah, he got an OB for being the party organiser.
He's in a long line of celebrities that have had
He'd-
them, though, isn't he?
Did you see him get his award? He'd had a little haircut.
Oh,
and
had
I
he?
don't. Yes, it looked a bit Smike and Nicholas Nickleby. It was too short.
Had he had a haircut?
Yes, and he had a haircut.
I don't miss
Well,
it.
palace trim, innit? If you're going out somewhere special, you get a trim, don't you? It's like a
I
party
noticed.
trim.
Jimmy Carr was involved in the Queen's Jubilee concert. Where's his...
Well,
OBE?
exactly.
Don't know what's gone wrong there.
Then we got lost in the post.
Kate Winslet as well. That's your favourite, Frank. She got
Kate
the trophy
Winslet,
thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful, talented, big feet.
Oh,
What more do you want from a woman than that?
what size 9, isn't it?
Is it 9.5? You said
9.5, yeah. I think it's 11 American.
wow.
That's what that drag queen
That's
told me. In the lift. In the lifts. In the elevator shoes. See, I'm riffing on nothing.
She,
So,
She wore a nice hat.
wore
I
a nice
liked
hat.
her hat.
I
you
liked
would,
it.
You would, wouldn't you, if your feet were size 9.5? You'd wear a statement hat, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You'd wear a sombrero.
Clever.
You'd look like a cotton reel.
I like a daring headpiece. I think it's good. It was a bit like with Princess Beatrice when she wore, everyone said it looked like a toilet seat at the royal wedding, and she did look a bit psychotic. But I liked that she went for it. Go for it with hats.
Well, they both
Absolutely.
did. I think both the sisters
Yeah,
wore.
Eugenie as
I
well.
like those. I like those weird hats as well. I like them a lot because I've got a very, very big head. I can't wear
Yeah.
hats, so I look at all hats with envy.
But you could wear one of
I
the
am
small
constantly
ones.
cursed by that phrase on a label, one size fits all. No. Me and the Elephant Man are two people who I think are affronted by that. I thought, in case you didn't see Kate's hat, it was based on a magpie,
Yeah.
but sort of squashed.
Yeah.
And Kate's milliner, as she was
Like
described.
something like Guy Ritchie might have shot it down by mistake or something.
You think?
Yeah.
Is he a marksman?
Oh, he's a big shooter. He's a big shooter.
I heard he'd got a big shooter. I'll tell you what he has got. He's got a big lower part of his face and a small upper part of his face.
Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, Guy Ritchie.
Really?
Do you remember
noticed
those? Do you remember those books you used to get where you could turn a page and you could make the top of someone's face go on the bottom of someone else's?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what Guy Ritchie's. That's what happened to Guy Ritchie when he was born.
I like Guy Ritchie's posh mother on Madonna. Do you remember what she said? She went, well, what do you expect if you're going to mix with that end of the market? Oh,
No,
love
Madonna, as an example. See, Madonna, everyone was criticising this week in the papers. I thought she looked fantastic.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought she was hot.
Really?
Yeah.
She did look hot. She'd taken many layers off.
No, but
by
she
this time she was in the
does.
papers.
She looks like a beautiful woman, but made of brie.
Oh.
Sort of white and clammy to the top.
Can we just
Anyway,
say,
so look.
Frank's ideal woman was Zola Budd for years.
Yeah, exactly. Gone off her now.
Yeah.
Started wearing shoes and stuff. You know what? It said that the milliner said that the hat reflected Kate's personality, and I can see that because one for sorrow, you see, for one magpie, and she is a woman with a broken marriage. She's been through a lot of heartache in recent years, and also I think there's an element of roadkill about the hat and about Kate. She's a woman who's been hit by the articulated lorry of fate.
Oh, fine.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
you not say that?
Would
You
I
see,
not
it's
say
that-
the
it's that-
articulated lorry of fate?
You see, it was that mumbling response that lost you your part. It wasn't Gary Barlow pulling strings. It was in your hand. You had it. It was in your hands.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Actually, now I come to think of it, the magpie thing, the one magpie being on locker,
Yeah.
you're familiar with this theory. Does that apply to the magpie itself?
Oh, I see. One for sorrow, two for joy.
If you're one
aspect.
magpie on its own,
One magpie short of a load.
are you necessarily sad and melancholy by nature?
Maybe. Do you
I
think?
mean, do they end up rushing into relationships that are dysfunctional just so that they can be two
They can be in
magpies?
a pair.
Or is it possible for magpies to have a dysfunctional relationship because once two of them get together there is inevitably joy?
Yeah, and that's what they say, is it?
So they never have any bad relationships at all, magpies?
Is it magpies
What do they
that-
talk
I like the
about?
concept of them having a relationship at all.
What do they talk about when they're drunk if they
They
never
talk about
have
anything,
bad
they're magpies.
relationships? The most interesting thing people talk about over about 30 is their terrible relationships. Magpies are saying, oh, we're having such a great time. Oh, shut up about it. Shut up. Do you hear about Steve? He ended up as Kate Winslet's hat.
Steve.
Do they salute each other? Do you,
A bit like Talisa and Cheryl Cole on the X Factor.
They never need to salute each other because
Why?
when a magpie says another magpie, there's two.
oh yeah, you meant to salute the single ones.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that right?
It's very complicated. This.
There's a lot of rules with the
It's
magpie.
a superstition that's turned in on itself.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why there was so much saluting on the day that Kate Winslet went to Buckingham Palace. Perhaps they were all thinking, oh, there's a magpie there.
Ah, yeah, that's it. Well, we all thought it was the standard military thing. The
Yes.
Queen was thinking, oh, God, they're on it. They're on it today, the boys.
McQueen. Oh, that was a lovely McQueen. I thought you said McQueen.
No, not McQueen.
Oh,
the Queen.
I'm sorry, I live in fashion. Talking of which...
Hold on.
Oh, okay. Hold your high horses.
Yeah, what about this thing that the Queen said to Kate Winslet?
What did she say?
She said it must be a very lovely job, what you do. And she said, well, it is, but the thing that... She says, do you love your job? And she says, I absolutely love it. But the thing that makes me happiest is being a mother.
Oh.
And the Queen, I mean a mother as in, she has children. Not, She wasn't rapping.
No, not in a sort of Jay-Z sense.
No. And the Queen said, oh, well, motherhood is the only job.
Oh dear.
I don't think that's right, is it?
No, it's not a job.
I think she's been misinformed.
It's not a job. She needs to check her payslip. It is not a
She
job.
needs to check situations vacant. She'll find all manner of work. What an odd thing. And I'll tell you something
What does
now.
that tell you about her line of work?
On the BBC website, it said that the Queen said motherhood is the best job.
That seems more Queen.
But I actually heard
Were you
Kate
there?
Winslet describe what said, and she very clearly said, motherhood is the only job.
Oh dear. She's
Queen.
getting a bit like Prince Philip now, saying the wrong thing.
Do you think she's got all mixed up?
Yes.
Oh, that's how Gary Barlow got his OB. It's probably got mixed up with Team GB.
It's meant for Gary Neville.
Yeah, exactly, Gary Barlow. How could he possibly get an OBE? Don't be ridiculous.
Frank.
Hold it.
No.
I've got to play some adverts.
I know, but I'm going to just say shortly I will be telling you about something which... It's about... I want to trail this.
Oh,
because
okay.
I saw a comedian die this week. I'm not going to say who it is.
Was it me? No. Were you at the cricket?
And it wasn't in my house either.
You saw a comedian die? Oh, well,
I'll reveal all shortly.
I think I would have seen everything. When I see a comedian die, oh yeah! Everybody at home now, everybody. When I see a comedian die, yeah.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, Frank, do you want to hear about this death that I've witnessed?
Yes, I mean, it'll be a mixture of pain and...
Well, I'm intrigued. I'm
joy.
actually fascinated by you both as a result of witnessing this. How you would, how and why you would do this for a living.
In a
But
way you
anyway,
previously weren't.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a newfound respect for you.
That's been a long time.
So just to set the scene for you, I was at a fashion do. It was a corporate fashion do. I'm not going to...
This is the music I imagine playing.
Okay.
Hi, Jeff. Say, did you see those new collars by Chanel? Oh yeah, they're marvellous. That's it. I think we've set the scene.
Is it
That's
Charlotte
the
Gainsbourg
exact
in the background?
conversation that I had
There you
with
go.
Jeff Banks.
There you
No,
go.
that's not true. I did look good, I have to say. I know you're not meant to say that, but I don't care.
I think it's all right to say. 'Cause,
I wore,
we don't have any other witnesses apart from
No,
yourself.
I wore nude Temple. That was the shade, the tone.
You wore what?
Temple in nude, a nude
tiny
tone.
temple. Did you wear a tiny temple? No. Okay.
It wasn't big.
No, well, it wouldn't be.
A lovely blue Louboutin shoe, about 4.5 inches.
With the red bottom.
Yeah, the red bottom.
They stole that. They stole that off the Gibbons.
No, they didn't. There was a lawsuit about that. They didn't
idea.
steal them off the Gibbons. But Frank, I had last-minute ablutions as well. What's great about being in style...
Do you have to bring that up?
Well, yes, I do. Because what's great about that is you can get the girls to help out. I said, girls...
What, with an ablution?
Yes. I said to the beauty girls from the beauty cupboard, I said,
It's
my
a
legs...
girl that lives in the beauty cupboard. Yeah.
I said, my legs aren't prepped. They're not prepped for... Because it was a new dress, so I couldn't wear a black tie with it.
No.
So I said, can you call me in some razors? So,
Oh.
yes, so I could shave the leg because I was worried they didn't look quite right. Then they had to call me in a concealer to match my leg in case I had a little bruise.
When you
to
say
cover.
call you in, is there a dumb waiter that these things arrive on?
No, they'll get it sent over for me.
So they'll bike over some razors?
Yes,
Wow.
Fantastic.
I will pay for the bike out of my own money, obviously.
Sure you will.
When
So-
that happens, do you put that in the file in your brain that goes with other first world problems?
Yes, very much so. So anyway, I know what you both really want to know about.
Yeah.
So we're at this dinner. We're a tough crowd because we don't eat very much,
I bet,
obviously.
yeah. No. So
there's a lot of
twitchy.
anger
Yeah.
and some alcohol involved. We're a bit twitchy.
Yeah, that's the least of it, I would have thought.
Yeah.
No, that's the most of it, actually.
Okay.
And the scraping of forks on plates as it moves food around but doesn't eat any of
No,
it.
that's not forks, that's their elbows.
That's the best compliment you've ever paid me. Anyway, this dude comes on. I'm not going to say what his name was.
No, don't name him.
Yes.
Gentleman, a male comic.
A male
comedian.
comic, very much a male comic. I have never seen... I mean, he came on to Virtual Silence anyway. He did some material about... He did an impression of Tom Jones, which I didn't think was that up-to-date, to be honest. I didn't think it was very topical.
Still alive.
I know he's alive, but still, others
He's on
have
a
done
major
it better.
BBC program. I'm trying to defend
I
this
know
guy.
you are. I know you
Yeah.
are. He did a whole thing about Alan Sugar. What is it with The Apprentice, eh? I didn't think that was...
Can I say, although you haven't named him, every comedian in the country will be able to.
Shrinking the circle even as we speak now.
Yeah, me too. I thought you meant with discomfort
Element of suspects,
anxiety.
yeah.
But also, we're not wrong crowd for that
No,
kind of
I
stuff.
can
We're
imagine
out
we're
having a fabulous...
horrible, spiteful crowd is what I'm imagining. Is
How,
that fair?
how dare you?
Oh, sorry, everyone.
There might be a lot of acid in our stomachs, but...
Oh, God, don't bring that up.
Frank,
In a way, I'm glad to hear that he just struggled because he
well, do you know what made it worse? He said at
ill-chosen
the
material.
end... So he did all this Apprentice
How long did he
stuff.
do? Did he get through the whole set?
I know. I think he might have wrapped it up quicker.
Yeah,
Because
good lad.
then he said, "Can I just say, this has been the highlight of my career."
No, that was ironic, I think.
He did irony. We didn't like that.
He was
You've
interrupted by a man shouting, "Razors for Dean," halfway through.
You've been the most inspiring audience I've ever met
He might have
in my
met-
whole
He
life.
might have meant that.
Thank you. I want to thank you for your support and your encouragement tonight. Then, I don't know if I've got time to tell you this, Ross Kemp came on.
What?
Yeah.
Hold it right there. Come in, there's heckles and there's heckles.
I mean, he's
You
been
telling me
in
that he now works for a delivery company, delivering razors? How ironic. And I suppose he takes his helmet off and they work. See that? Smooth as a billiard ball.
I mean, actually, to pick it back up, we've had a text in from someone who said, I was at that awards ceremony too. And continues, I wanted to crawl under the table for the entire performance. Poor thing.
Yeah, I've been at do's like that. Well, I didn't want to crawl under the table, but that's where I found myself.
No, but you ended up in the Central Reservation, so all's well that ends well.
Exactly.
So,
That wouldn't be a bad title for a play, am I right? All's. Okay.
So, he's just said, this comic, who, I am going to protect him.
No,
I'm not going to say who he is.
Because any comic can die, believe me.
I know.
Particularly at a corporate event. it would
Especially
be,
as a fashion corporate event.
Leave us alone.
I'm
not our
actually
fault you
relieved
lot
to hear
can't
that.
dress.
I'm relieved to hear that it was a problem with the choice of his material rather than like fabrics. And like if he'd worn a suit and trainers, I would have expected him to have lasted even less time.
Well, he could have
his
been a
clothes
city
weren't
boy
great either.
walking to work.
But he said, so guys, so we've got him saying...
Where's
I
Ross?
will-
Where does Ross
Right.
fit in?
So this man has just said, I will never forget you, you've been the most supportive audience, leaves the stage to silence.
Right.
At this point, Ross comes on to present an award. They had, have celebrities on, rather like the Sony's, darling, when the
Right.
celebrity comes on to present an award. So Ross is next up. Ross says, I can't actually believe he did this. Ross Kemp stands there and says, that guy died out here tonight. Seriously.
I think that's a quote from Ross Kemp on Gangs.
He gave this strange obituary, and we all watched that guy die.
Okay.
It was such a strange thing to do.
I mean, he's seen some trouble in his time, hasn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't know why he did that. So then everyone sort of laughed awkwardly.
Yeah.
He
Well,
talked
that's
a
why
bit
he did
more about the death. He talked more about the death.
Did he?
Yes.
What did he have to say about it?
He just said, I think we all know what we've witnessed tonight. I watched that guy die tonight.
Yeah,
he
but
goes.
you don't know, it wasn't just a death, it was a post-mortem. That doesn't make any sense.
What? I mean, it shocked and stunned and horrified me. I couldn't watch. I was doing such arthritic claw, I fractured my wrist.
That
I
sounds
drank-
like my bowling. No, it's a
How
terrible...
and why would you do this to yourselves? Have you ever had anything that bad?
That thing about Ross Kemp going... I remember I introduced a guy once at the club. I said, this very, very funny guy. I've worked with him loads of times in London. It was a club in Birmingham. I've
Yeah.
worked with him loads. I'm always absolutely stormzy. Give him a massive welcome. No. Whatever his name was.
Yeah.
He comes on stage and he absolutely died terribly. It went,
Yeah.
and he's one of those who thought, if I do another 10 minutes, I'll be able to turn it round. And he did about half an hour. And he died after 4 minutes, and he carried on. And I went back on to, the crowd was shot, and I said, "Oh no, sorry, it wasn't him." And I saw him about 15 years later. I bumped into him, and he said, "Do you remember that thing you said to me?" And he was still a bit angry about it.
Yeah.
When you go on after, it's very hard not to say something to acknowledge it.
Oh, okay.
The last time I died was not that long ago. It was
Really?
it was. I think it was a sort of a death. There was some booing, and as I left the stage, I don't know if I've told you this before. As I left the stage, I asked the audience if they'd allow me to leave in complete silence because I felt that was the only suitable response.
You did not.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If I'd have been there, I would end my own life.
I said I think any applause would be inappropriate. And so off I went, and they let me down. They applauded as I went off. I think they were applauding my back catalogue rather than what had happened on that night. But it was
Just FYI, the Cockle's
difficult.
not getting away with this.
No. But we have to do things like adverts.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text us on 81215 or follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
Frank?
Yes!
We've had an email in from one of our transgendered listeners.
Okay.
This is in response, you were telling a story earlier about being in a lift with
With two
drag queens, yeah. Hi guys, I had to say something. I did find Frank's story of drag queens in the lift funny. I am a transgender...
I thought it had its options next. It had its options. I can't speak, help me! Carry on.
I am a transgendered male to female. So please...
You are?
So please tell him that you shouldn't shake hands with drag queens. I think a peck on the cheek would suffice. The handshake to a male presenting as a female merely reinforces the male gender role that they're hiding. So you're sort of blowing their cover.
I see. This is I got myself into a completely accidental thing where I did a show with Rachel Riley from Countdown and Fatima Whitbread. Mm-hmm. And I just found that in quick succession... I was introduced to them. I kissed Rachel Riley and shook hands with Fatima Whitbread, and it was completely just random. But then I thought, oh no, it looks like I didn't want to kiss Fatima Whitbread. But next time I see a drag queen in the lift, I shall kiss them.
And that's from Chris.
That's my news
who also
resolution.
says, so Frank, it just goes to show your programme appeals to a wide variety of intelligentsia across the gender spectrum.
That's brilliant.
Meanwhile, can we go back to a little bit of Schadenfreude this morning? I want to hear about Alun.
I always see the pre-op transsexual as the Swiss Army knife of human sexuality. Anyway, carry on.
We were talking about how I watched a comic die this week.
Yes.
And I was curious to know whether the Cockrell had any similar experiences.
Yeah, I've got several. But they sort of... They seem to kind of even out a little bit. After a while, it feels like, oh, that was nearly a death, and then there was that bit where that one table took against me. Or, for instance, last week, as I was leaving a comedy club, I overheard a member of the audience who had taken against me on a different staircase saying a version of, no, he was terrible, mate, he was terrible, not knowing that I could hear him.
On a different staircase?
Yeah, it was like a parallel staircase.
Designed by Albrecht Dürer.
That's right, yeah, I only play those now. It's a small circuit, but I'm enjoying it for the architecture.
Did you say something?
No, but then I mentioned it to somebody else who had done stand-up for a while, and they told me that they once stayed in a cubicle after a gig they'd done whilst two men at the urinals discussed how little they'd enjoyed his act, and he couldn't then walk out and wash his hands in case they went, yeah, it's you we were just saying we didn't enjoy. But that's part of it. That's just part of it. It's
I think it's an extraordinary thing.
You
I thought you were going to
die.
say, spoke to someone else and they said, I.A. Gill lives on that staircase.
We've had a question as well. Gordon says, stand-ups. He's addressing you both there.
Yeah. Is this Gordon that used to work with Philip Schofield?
Yeah. And has he got any names written on a card? Because I don't want them.
He's a gopher. He can go and get my razors and all sorts. Once you've been in telly, or are officially famous, is it true You're more likely to get approximately 32% more laughs because the audience assume that you are funny, because others have bestowed this status on you. Or is this an incorrect assumption to make?
Well, if I can have first go, because I can't answer that, because I am not famous, and
You're
and I
in
think,
telly.
yeah, but I'm aware of that. I've been on telly, but the fact that this bloke has called it stand-ups rather than just to Frank and Alan. And somebody else emailed saying Frank and that other stand-up bloke. So I think
He meant me. He thought I was transgender.
I can opt out of the famous answer. Don't know what that would be like. What is it like, Frank?
Well, I always think that if someone goes to work and says, "Oh, I've seen Frank Skinner doing some stand-up the other night, brilliant," they go, "Oh, okay." Whereas if they say, "I saw Frank Skinner doing something, he's terrible. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
brilliant story." So I always think that when I'm terrible, I'm giving some members of the audience a great gift.
Yeah.
I don't know. The theory, Jerry Seinfeld, who, as you know, is quoted a lot by idiots.
Yeah.
And me.
No.
He says that it gives you an extra 3 minutes. But if you're not funny after 3 minutes, they'll hate you anyway.
Really?
I think that's fair enough. I don't want 3 minutes.
I do.
Give us 30 seconds. I'll get you.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had a reply from the gentleman that emailed in asking if you become funnier by 30-odd% if you're famous. And he said, "Hi again. I thought your reply was excellent, but only approximately 25% better than non-famous stand-ups." So good for him.
I like Gordon.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Right.
I got slow hand clapped off at a corporate event.
Is that bad?
Is that bad?
That's quite bad.
Well, on the register of good to bad, yeah, it's definitely erring towards
It's worse when Ross
bad.
Kemp comes on and says, "I watched a man die."
Well, I can't help but think that Ross Kemp was standing in the wings thinking, this looks like a tough gig, I'm taking him down with me if I'm going.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he was doing. He was thinking, I'll start by kicking the guy that's already down, and that way it elevates my status and I'm with them rather than him.
I was hommed off at a club in South East London. The audience is going, Oh, they're a tough lot, the Buddhist monks. No, they weren't Buddhist monks. That was quite a bad way to go. One place I remember, I died so badly that I started pontificating on. I said, this is like what it would have been like on the Titanic if instead of a band they'd had a stand-up. And they started to sink, and the stand-up had to stop, and people was preoccupied because you could see fish outside the windows and stuff like that. And I think that's what you have to try and do, is try and embrace it the way that guy did, of a bit of irony. That night,
I think at the end, his end was his finest hour.
well, that night that I died and tried to leave in complete silence is. The sound man who didn't know what was going on, obviously I wanted to leave in complete silence, but he just did what he always did at these gigs, which I told him to do. And he played Tomorrow from Annie. The sun will come out tomorrow, which seems strangely apt. And I came on and did a sort of modern ballet dance to it as well. And that's what you have to... I think it was Terry Griffiths who said, after he got knocked out of the World Snooker Championship, in the first round.
Extraordinary reference.
He said, there's a certain beauty in defeat.
Good for him.
And I think that is true.
I mean, I do find this
Well, he
heartening.
was certainly a looker, that guy the other night.
I actually find all this heartening. Like, when really good stand-ups tell their horrible death stories, there's a bit of me that thinks, oh, well, that's just part of it. I mean, it hurts when it happens, but it is just part of it. And other comics won't be particularly... There's a rumour that when comics were really struggling at the Comedy Store in the early days, that's when all the other comics would come out and watch.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
Or come out the dressing room to watch.
Yeah.
But
I love this. It's gone very BBC Two Arch.
It sounds horrible, but it's just the way that you slow down when you go past a car crash. And you don't want to see a severed head, but you don't want to not see it.
I so do.
Okay. Anyway, enough about death.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a little visit to...
Hold it. And relax.
So, I'll be kicking off with an email from Andy from Headcorn. Hi, Frank, Alan and Emily. I was reading a story on The Sun Online a couple of weeks ago. That's okay. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
The story was about a devil child, where a distraught mother was insisting that her 2-month-old child was the son of Satan. The most extraordinary thing about it was that on the very same page there was a smaller story about Catherine Jenkins.
That's to the link. That's to the link.
I know Frank's feelings on the Welsh Warbler and wondered if this was a pure coincidence or a deliberate piece of marketing by Jenkins's PR team to cash in on the Satan story.
New listeners might not know that it is my theory that Catherine Jenkins is Lucifer's representative on Earth.
Yeah.
But I think there's something in it. She has a Christmas album out, I notice, at the moment.
Yes.
And I went to her website, and I found out that when you play Away in a Manger backwards, it goes, Worship Lucifer! Worship Lucifer! So she's not fooling anyone. I see myself as, the Saint Michael who must battle her when
Marks
the
and
final war, the final war of Michael the Archangel,
right.
in the battle of good and evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, on that topic, Roberto Di Matteo got sacked this week from Chelsea, but you know that there's been a whole Mark Clattenburg thing when they said the referee said a bad thing. Well, that game where he said the bad thing, they went over to a news reporter, Sky, to a sports reporter at the ground, and he said, so it's all ended very badly here with all sort of accusations about referee Mark Clattenburg. And a strange thing, this time last season, the 9th game, as this is the 9th game this season, Chelsea ended up with 9 men, as they did today, and that was the John Terry case arose from that game, and this one, it's the Mark Clattenburg. Weird series of coincidences there. And I thought, is this like the Wicker Man school of sports report? It was very bizarre.
Frank, Andy also has a request at the end of this email. He says, by the way, I now always sing Brass in Pocket. He calls it Brass in My Pocket, but we'll let that go. Every time I draw out money from the cash point. But I don't have a clue how the tune goes, so I currently sing it to the tune of Pig Iron, I Got All Pig Iron, which surely isn't right.
Brass in Pocket.
Can you give me one more demonstration so that I can at least sing it to the right tune?
Yes, again, for new listeners, whenever I take money from a cash point...
Which isn't that often.
No, I always walk away singing.
Got brass in pocket.
Yeah, all right, enough. So that's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, got brass in pocket. Ha! So that's actually...
Tom Jones remix.
I incorporated the backing vocals from Kung Fu Fighting. Everybody got Kung Fu Fighting. Woo! Yeah, I love it. Or Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
Oh, yeah.
The bit, the guitar. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Bear with me.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Are we still technically an email corner?
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't sounded the retreat.
Have we haven't got exit music from email corner, have we? That'd be good. We'll get working on that.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, let's see what we got. What about this? When we finish email corner, which we haven't yet, I'll play this.
That feels a bit like we're rowing away from email corner.
Yeah, that's how we leave.
Yeah,
It's it's like crossing the sticks.
Let me read you an email then, since we're there. Frank, Alan and Lucky Last, a phrase that my dad used but I never understood. The lovely Emily.
Oh.
I think it was earlier this year that a listener offered you a life-size rocking horse.
Yes.
And despite great excitement in the studio, I suspect that was mainly from me that thought it was
No, I thought it was
something
brilliant.
free.
No,
I thought
Frank
it was
liked
brilliant.
it.
I could recreate the Danger High Voltage video.
Yeah.
How often can you say that?
You've got something of the Dottore physique as well.
But yeah, I think that's the drugs. But I never...
allowed.
I never did get it. No, it's too late now.
Oh, well, they're asking.
It's no good opening the stable door after
I am
that.
pretty sure that we, the listener, never got to hear if it was ever collected. Not that I'm surprised. Said
Sadly not.
horse was miles away. So here is a gift for Frank that I can post to you.
Oh.
It's Top Cat's coin, A 50p piece that we found in one of our vending machines, hole drilled, long piece of string attached. I work for Europe's largest vending company. All right. It's not your CV, pitching for other work.
No, he's giving himself some...
He continues.
Giving it context.
Yeah.
And when I retired, I kept said coin. It's in my office. Frank, would you like it? And that's from Rob Long, time listener. No, he's capitalised Long. Rob, long-time listener.
He might be a
First time
pun on
emailer.
his surname could be Long. And
I think it is.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's from Rob Long.
Well, I'd be very happy to have
Well,
Top
it's
Cat's
worth
coin.
It's probably worth at least 50p, isn't it? If
Well, you know,
think about
no,
it.
but not if you keep using it over and over and over in machines. I once saw Top Cat's waistcoat for sale in auction.
Did
No.
you?
But turns
I
out
could have put that on my Foxy Bingo.
because you know he just wore a waistcoat and a straw bow tie. That was all he wore.
No pants.
And no
lower.
pants. That was the problem
Yeah.
because you know the two the tightening straps at the back of a waistcoat.
Yeah.
He'd worn those hanging down,
Oh.
and there was inevitable consequences.
Oh.
And there was a little bit of cat excrement in the
That's the most disgusting thing you've ever said.
in the buckle mechanism. Just caught up, and it stopped me buying it.
You could have got it out with a pin or something, but
But
no.
the coin I'm happy with. What else?
I like the fact that Emily is so revolted by this discussion of a cartoon character.
I just like the fact that I've used the phrase buckle mechanism.
I do as well. We've also just had a text in, Frank. Here's one for Emily. I've noticed that Emily's voice sounds almost identical to Susanna's from Trini and Susanna.
that
Does she
right?
know this?
When you're both in a similar line of work. of
Well,
course.
there you go. I'll have a listen later.
It is the voice of style. That's what you're hearing.
Lovely. Yeah.
That's what you could be.
Frank, I'm not really done yet with Email Corner. I'm not through with it yet.
Yeah, well, we're not even in the rowing boat.
I was looking a bit longingly towards the bank, but I'm still here.
Okay.
Dear Frank, Emily and Alan,
So was I a few years ago. But to no avail.
you got your diary?
Yeah,
Lovely.
got my diary.
Did you get a pen as well?
Oh, yeah, 'cause one of those that tucks in. I use it now as a notepad.
Lovely.
Got it in my pocket.
My husband and I watched you at the Blackpool Grand Theatre on the 27th of November 1994.
It's too late for a refund. Sorry.
At the time, I was 8 months pregnant. I remember you noticed the dust on the stage and regularly fed the chickens in the orchestral pit.
God, I was on fire.
Some of your best work that
Yeah.
night. When we returned home, I went into labour
Oh,
and gave birth to our son Jacob 4 weeks early at 10:58 a.m. I've always been convinced that my laughter that night caused the labour, and I've always wanted to let
blimey.
you know.
how lovely.
I always advise anyone who's pregnant to go out and have a good laugh. Forget about the curry and a long walk, or that other thing that caused the pregnancy in the first place. On Wednesday, Jacob will be 18, and we're immensely proud of him. We hope you get as much joy from Buzz as we have had from our lovely boy. Regards, Joanne and Paul.
That's very, very lovely, isn't he?
I think that's great.
I worried when I skimmed that email and saw something about 1994 and someone going into
Pregnancy,
labour.
Yeah, I know, that could have been wrong.
I panicked.
Well, let's hope that's true. Well, happy birthday to Jacob, and I mean, Buzz will be what he will be. It's like that episode of Merlin, isn't it? When his father, the ghost, they give him a horn and it brings up the ghost of his father, and he comes back and tries to change the way that Arthur is.
We
I know you're parodying, but you know that
Camelot.
there's absolute listeners in their black T-shirts and Converse nodding at the radio as you say. It's
I
like
hope-
that episode of Merlin.
I hope that's true. I've just my heart's just sunk a bit because I've realised that Boz was 1 week overdue. This baby was 4 weeks premature, which means I'm 5 weeks less funnier than I used to be.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're still in Email Corner.
We are.
Oh, yeah.
And,
There we do linger.
And in Email Corner, we often have emails that have come in during the week to the show, but this is literally just in.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. It's entitled Waxwork Discovery. Good morning, Mr. Frank Radio, Mr. Alan Cochrane, and the loveliest Emily Dean. I was listening to your story about finding Bob Dylan in the middle of a war scene at a waxwork museum. Picked you up pick you up on a technicality. It was somebody else's story, and it was Bob Geldof.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yes.
Other than that, you're
was
bang
it
on.
Trafalgar? I think it was on the HMS Victory, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
But they both look a bit grubby, in fairness.
The story was that someone had basically recycled a Bob Geldof waxwork.
Yes.
That's
As
right.
a-
We've
as
been
a
spotting
sailor.
recycled waxworks out and about, haven't we, on
Yeah,
our
exactly.
travels?
We've had a whole waxwork theme. Susan Sarandon in a shop window.
It got me thinking about a time I visited the Thackeray Medical Museum in Leeds with my boyfriend. Brackets, I'm from Leeds, living in Huddersfield with my southern boyfriend, and wanted to show him around my city a bit.
No judgment.
Yeah, exactly, none. Not much. Anyway, whilst wandering around the pregnancy and birth area of the museum...
Could have gone to Home Firth and dined in Compo's kitchen.
They could have, yeah.
They didn't.
They didn't. They went to the Thackeray Medical Museum. Anyway, whilst wandering around the pregnancy and birth area of the museum, we happened upon a scene from the hospital where a pregnant lady was being comforted by her partner.
Can I just say I love the sound of this?
It doesn't get gross. Upon closer inspection, the scene seemed a bit off, until I realised we had come across a pregnant waxwork man, not a woman. I don't blame them for recycling mannequins, but surely they should have done better than slinging a mousy brown curly wig onto a man who looked similar to Popeye and stuffing a pillow up his top. Needless to say, it has made me
this
question...
wasn't in my lift?
It does feel quite germane, doesn't it?
It's been a day. It's been the theme
Hasn't
today.
it? Needless to say, it has made me question the way the Thackeray Medical Museum think babies are born. Love the show, Amy. P.S. I am a student at the University of Huddersfield and recently saw Patrick Stewart. I hear you talk about him a lot on the show. Do we? I think we did a bit last week.
I have to
wondered-
say, no one is more aptly suited to be mentioned in a PS than Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Very
thing.
good. That's very good.
So
I wonder
proud-
if she
I'm
saw
so proud of
Phil
you right
Silvers while she was there. So what did she say about Patrick Stewart?
I wondered if next time I happened upon him, I should tell him he's a friend of the show.
Do it.
Well, it's funny you should mention Patrick Stewart, because we've had an email in, Frank, Sir Patrick Stewart,
Oh, yeah.
to give him his full title.
I'd forgotten that.
He's a knight of the realm,
Yeah.
isn't he?
I had the great pleasure to meet and work with Sir Patrick Stewart, one of the nicest, warmest and most avuncular people I've ever met.
Oh, uncle-like.
Yeah. I mentioned the cockerel's postulation
Did you?
that he, the cockerel, was the second most famous person from whatever that obscure town is.
What is it? What
That's
is it,
so
Alan?
harsh.
The
Is it
place I grew
Dunstable
up-
or something?
The place I grew up...
Is that wrong?
The place I grew up is a place called Murfield. M-I-R.
Murphable.
Murfield. But there's even people...
Mirthfield.
Murph.
Because Mirthfield would be a good place for a comic to
It
grow up,
would.
wouldn't it?
It would.
I
but
can't remember it already.
That or Giggleswick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sir Patrick apologised for his lack of awareness of him,
You'd never heard of the cockerel?
but did counter that the second most famous person from that random northern town was in fact, was in fact a chap called Reg, who came fourth in the Tour de France many moons ago, or as Frank calls it, the Tour of France.
Reg Harris.
So
It
it
must be Reg Harris.
it's my sad duty to report that the cockerel is in fact the third most famous person from Moorfield, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the place I grew up is so small that even emailers who are emailing about it are deliberately getting the name wrong and going, whatever.
I like the fact that your career now is a tussle between you, Sir Patrick Stewart, and a dead cyclist to see who can be the most famous.
Yeah. But
I
this-
suggest, last minute suggestion, maybe if you carried out an assassination of some kind, you'd be in all the papers.
This chap that came fourth in the Tour de France many moons ago, I think because of recent revelations, he actually won it now. I think he's moved up the rankings, because of Lance Armstrong.
Oh,
It's a tough crowd.
yeah, I liked it. Phew.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
It's been a long stay we're still in Email Corner.
It's practically a welcome break.
Frank, Emily and Alan, as I know you have a penchant for comments on the Daily Mail website.
Yeah, I bought it during the time of the spaghetti westerns. They were very popular. I don't really wear it when it's this cold.
No.
A penchant.
Yeah.
I thought I might send you this one. Now this I like, the idea that the listenership are going to send us Daily Mail websites and links.
Yeah, it's
great.
Yeah,
A bit meta.
It's sort of double vox popped.
Yeah, they can prep the show entirely. Just send us a list and we'll...
Prep the show
we'll
over
come
my
in.
dead body.
Following the news that David Beckham is going to leave LA, the speculation is rife as to what he will do next. Andy from the Wirral came up with this classic: probably end up back in Blighty and signing on down the local job centre.
Oh.
I hope he's not referring to Absolute's Vicky Blight.
Can I just say, I love
That
the
is
sound
all.
of Andy from the Wirral.
What's the point of having a job centre when the only job is motherhood?
Apparently so.
There's no
Apparently.
point in David Beckham going down there for that job.
But also
I know.
with David Beckham, surely he's got about 8 properties in the United Kingdom. What would be his local job centre? He'd have a long time thinking, well, do I want to use my Hertfordshire
Yeah.
home for signing on, or shall I go with the...
Well, that's the problem.
I didn't think you
Don't
could
do what
sign
I-
on. If you've got more than 4,000 in the bank, I don't think you can sign
Well, that's
on.
funny because I saw someone recently pulling up in a black cab outside with the meter running.
It's probably the driver. When I used to sign on, there used to be a bloke.
I love her when I used to sign on.
He used to get off the coal van, come in, sign on, covered in coal. I mean, black from head to foot, and sign on. That can't be wrong, can it? Can't be wrong. Oh, Freudian slip.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alun the Cochrane. You can text us on 81215 or follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. No one's texting us at all. We used to do
No.
organised text-ins, which rallied our followers. But now we expect them to be proactive, and maybe
Just-
it's too much this early in the morning.
Just text. I have abandonment issues. Can you text? Thank you. Frank,
Yes.
I feel somewhat reluctant to mention the D word here.
The D word.
This is a painful subject for you to discuss. This is Daniel Craig.
Oh, Daniel Craig.
The betrayal,
Thought you
as I
meant
call
death.
it, because Daniel Craig stole your cleaner. We all know that, don't
I
we?
wouldn't say he stole her.
Okay.
Purloined.
I was trying to think of another word.
Yes,
but
I could
no,
see
you're
your-
right, he stole her.
He stole her.
Poached.
Yes. But I don't know how you'll take this news. You may have seen it, but did you see? He's finally. It's lovely news for James Bond. He's finally passed his driving test in America.
No, you see, we were talking about this earlier today. I don't read newspapers anymore, other than the headlines. So I just thought he'd passed his driving test this week, which I found amazing. But it's in America. I thought, well, who's driving that Aston Martin about?
It's still a bit embarrassing, though. I hope he didn't have L plates and it wasn't a Ford Focus. Or
Do
something.
they do that in America?
Oh yeah, I'm
L
sure they
plates?
do.
What did he do?
Yes.
He didn't use the old. He didn't use the Bond car.
The Aston
No.
Martin. Yeah, he had it specially fitted
That'd
with
be brilliant.
another set of pedals for the instructor as well.
Fantastic.
It's hard when you're a celebrity. I remember, I think it was Noel Gallagher was learning to drive, and it was a bit embarrassing seeing him doing all his kind of rock anthems about champagne and cigarettes, and then he was coming out with the BSM car.
Well, anyone
Oh.
over 30 learning to drive is terribly embarrassing.
I was,
Say that.
Yeah. Gary Glitter passed his driving test in a Rolls Royce.
is that right?
Yeah. What are you doing that throat cut signal?
Oh,
What was
my
said?
Absolute God.
I was 28 when I passed.
You say it's an absolute... You were 28?
Yeah,
That's
28.
all right. You got under the wire.
Just.
You meet adults.
Oh, The Wire. Have you seen The Wire? Love it. What box set
do
you
like
on?
The Wire.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
I know
what
Frank
about,
loves it.
what about that time in Merlin when
when Gandalf takes
You
his driving
can't
test.
join our gang.
when Morgana forced that woman to pretend that her father was being held and she had to go and rescue him? Really, it was a trap.
No, none of us have seen that, Frank.
Okay.
Where were we?
I believe...
When we passed our
were-
driving test. How old were you again, Frank?
Oh, I was a late... my first driving test I took when I was 17, but I knocked someone over on a zebra crossing.
Oh, my God.
And that put me off for some time.
And other
which-
questions I wish I'd never asked.
For the avoidance of doubt, is a fail. Anybody listening
Well, you
who
say
would-
Your
that.
avoidance of that is a felony.
They still did all the questions at the end about traffic signs, and I thought, maybe there's so much good on the other side of the scales. He's let me off with hitting that bloke on the zebra crossing. It was a false hope.
I was quite a young driver.
How old were you?
21.
21?
Lovely. And I had Keith. He used to make me cry every single lesson.
Really?
Very strict, man. Very strict. But it was good for me because I passed first time.
Yeah, I finally
terrible
passed when I was
driver.
27, anyway. And I did one of those, I did what they call a crash course.
Yeah, they should really say intensive.
Yeah, they should. And so I went back to the car after, and I said to my instructor, well, you know, great, I passed and that. He said, oh, that's brilliant. I said, I thought you'd be pleased. He said, yeah, I'm really pleased. Another dodgy driver on the road. Well, I mean, that wasn't fair. Anyway, so it turns out from this story that he's taking his American driving licence.
Yeah.
Because he says he spends most of his time with Rachel Weisz now in New York.
Well, they don't do much driving there.
Feels like my cleaner might have slipped up there.
Surely they get ferried about if they're in New
Well,
York.
if they're living in New York, what's she doing?
Yeah,
How many
exactly.
times can you do the oven?
Never, in my
loose end.
cleaner's case, don't do oven.
Yeah.
Really?
She said that when she joined me, don't do oven.
My cleaner's never said that, but she doesn't do the oven.
Okay.
I leave it open. I use
Well,
one
that
of those...
looks a bit
you know-
threatening, Frank, if you don't mind me saying.
You know those day-glow cut-out cardboard arrows that you sometimes get in shops pointing to a bargain?
Oh, like golf sale.
I've got 3 of those around the oven. The open oven. Still, nothing. Hasn't been touched.
I can't help but think that the listenership may be thinking that we've returned to first world problems.
Yeah, well,
Yes, you're absolutely...
Complaining about our
you
cleaners
are
not
totally
doing
right.
the oven.
I'm afraid you're right.
but, yeah. Well,
Well,
you know, I think, isn't it more about the people just don't stand back after a job anymore and say, yes, I did that? Isn't that what it's about?
yeah.
Depends on the
exactly.
job, really.
Anyway. 15 quid an hour.
15?
Yeah.
For cleaning or driving instruction.
Daniel Craig.
All right.
That's what Barbara Broccoli told me.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I went to see Skyfall, speaking of Craigie.
Oh, yeah. Craigie.
Yeah,
Craigie, Daniel Craig.
I have this thing, if I go to the cinema and I sort of like the film and the hero's a bit, you know, dynamic, when I come out, I can feel myself walking slightly differently,
Oh, yeah.
influenced by...
What do you mean?
Yeah, I feel like I'm doing a James Bond type walk. It always happens to me.
He's a bit more
How were you
spy-like.
walking?
I can feel it, and even if I say something to the person I'm with, I speak slightly, a little in my head, a bit more like the hero of the film. It just takes a while for it to wear
Oh,
off.
my God, I hope you didn't go and order a martini. I feel ill.
No, but I tell you what I did do is as I walked back to my car, of course I had the my keyring fob dibber,
lovely.
so it felt a bit like a gadget.
Yeah.
So I walked back to my car, went ping, and the car. But and I felt very Bond-like. And then as the interior light
Is your
came,
car door open?
yeah. But when the interior light came on, it illuminated the child seat in the back,
Oh.
and the whole thing collapsed.
crumbled.
It was...
In fact, there's
It
nothing
was a
in...
Potemkin fantasy.
There's
Google
some-
it.
There's nothing in the article about the instructor worrying about being sat in the ejector seat
No.
in a Bond car. And it made me think, because apparently...
Don't
the-
exaggerate.
apparently it was a 5-hour responsible driving course.
Yeah.
5 hours?
And that's not even in the car. That's sitting in a room.
Yeah, and doing coursework.
Stuff about driving. Oh, it's like it'd be like some terrible Top Gear all-nighter.
But also,
Isn't it?
made me realise if James Bond was real, he'd be forever doing courses and training, wouldn't he? Like, you know,
You never see that part.
you don't see that
Yeah.
in the film.
You don't want to see the workings.
You don't want
I
to
can't-
see the admin.
I can't come from a teeny because I've got to do me health and safety in the workplace.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He is as the swan.
just
He's
imagine
graceful,
his-
but the feet underneath are
I
kicking
like my
mad.
favourite thing about Skyfall was the female trained assassin who decided to become a secretary
Oh,
at the end.
spoiler
Yeah.
alert!
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Is it spoiler alert?
It is.
I still haven't seen it. For me, getting
Sorry.
to see Skyfall is an adventure in itself, because
Well,
every
I-
time I look at it, I think, well, I need 4 hours, basically. It's a 2.5 hour film,
Since
plus
I've had a
journeys.
child, I mean, I've put off and put off. I went to the cinema on Thursday. What did I see? Batman: The Dark Knight Rises.
Did you?
How long's that been out? We know when the film's been out so long that the screen it's on is like the same size as your iPhone.
Yes.
It was
You're
like
going to see
that.
Forrest Gump next week, Frank. That's a good one. You'll like that.
Oh, yeah.
Adele as well.
Jaws too.
She's food obsessed.
I don't mean to be rude though, Al, but I do. I think there comes a point when you can't say it, claim spoiler alert, you can't cry that. It's not my fault that you haven't seen it yet. Hurry up. It's been out a long time now.
I don't think it's mine either. I think it's just life.
It is.
Yeah.
Life is getting in the way. Every time I look for a 4-hour window to go and see this film, I can't find it. I can't do it. I'm oppressed. Anyway, there's
Sherry trifle,
what's that?
apple crumble.
Is that Adele?
Yeah, well, I tell you, she's obsessed. So anyway, what else?
Frank, I tell you what else. Did you see that awful thing in that toilet in Scotland?
I've seen it.
I'll be all right in a minute.
He doesn't like toilet humour, does he? He doesn't like it.
Which takes me back to the 90s.
I'm all right now.
No, Frank, not that toilet in Scotland.
Yeah, it
It's not,
was-
not Glasgow. Not Glasgow. It's Paisley.
Which is near Glasgow.
Oh, is it near
If not-
Glasgow?
If not a part of, yeah.
Oh dear. Oh yeah,
Depends
Hue and
on-
Cry used to talk about that.
Did they?
Sing about that. So they found a python coiled round their loo.
Oh yes, I read that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. Sorry.
Around the toilet seat.
Yes. They're an elderly couple.
And well, you see now. Let me stop you there.
Elderly couple.
The police, or whoever it was, the animal people, said that it's been well looked after, this snake. The owner, can come and get it. If you're the owner, you're going to be thinking, yeah, I did used to like that snake, but do I want it now it's been coiled round the toilet seat of an elderly couple? No. Keep it. No one's going to claim that snake.
Surely they could just give it a wipe with
You
a
can't.
dishcloth.
Why? They hate
What, with an old J cloth?
No,
One of
they
the
won't-
selling points of the snake as a pet is that it's wiped down.
No, they won't. Yeah, but they won't take Dettol.
It's not like
That's my experience.
It's not like dog fur. or
They draw the
anything.
line at
I
Dettol.
like that. That's why you buy the snake.
That's what I'd get a snake for.
It's
They're
true.
wiped down.
It
And
is.
if you don't
I
like that skin, there'll be another one along in 3 months.
It's handy with a child, isn't it? You can just wipe them off.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to confess to you, see, this was hideous to me, this story, because I've always had a slight phobia about things coming at me from the toilet.
Oh.
Yes.
I know it's a bit irrational, like rats.
Is it since that alligator film?
I don't
Was it
know.
an alligator film where it was in the sewers?
No, it isn't, and I resent that allegation.
I just have a phobia about things biting.
Yes.
Biting
Well, I
in
can
that
see, because
area.
one is very exposed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like that bit in Casino Royale when he's made to sit on a wicker chair with no... Oh.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I don't... No, it sounds... it sounds terrible. Also, they've called it Lulu.
I like that.
Now, let me ask you
yeah.
a question. Whenever they find an animal, or sometimes it's a child, an abandoned child,
Yeah.
they give it, they say, and the thing they've called it Louise, or they've called it, but why have they called it anything?
Well, Lulu, surely it's because they found it in the toilet.
But why have they called it, why does it need a name?
Well,
It's
this
not,
is
it's
true.
probably it's already got a name, so if the person that does come and get it back with gloves on, they're going to say, no, it's not called Lulu. Why have you given it a name for just a few days? Just so
Yeah.
you can get in the paper for being a bit witty.
Maybe it's to save them time from saying the snake that we found round the toilet.
Well, at least if you said that
In
snake we
Paisley.
found in a toilet seat in Paisley, there's only going to be one.
It's only a python. When my grandmother was married to one of my 5 grandfathers living in the Sudan, they found a black mamba. Lethal.
I don't know what to say.
Yes.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
No, Paisley. We were just talking about, which is where the snake materialised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was anywhere near Jerry Rafferty Drive,
Oh, yeah.
which is a road in Paisley,
Is
Is it?
named after Jerry Rafferty.
Yes, I went to school with his daughter.
Did
Martha.
you?
Lovely.
Did you?
As we know, there's a street in London, Baker Street, which I presume was also named as a tribute to Jerry Rafferty.
Yeah.
But
That was to Bob Holness.
I'm fascinated by sort of relatively modern people becoming road names. I notice it at South East London. You get the odd like athlete or Henry Cooper way.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why did he get it for the Brute ads?
He was, he was quite a big star in his day, Henry. And
Brute force.
I'd like to know if any of our listeners live near a road or named after a sort of fairly modern person. I'd like to know who that is. I'm fascinated by who
A
gets
celeb
the honour.
street. A celeb street,
you can
yeah.
see, you can see which where my mind's going.
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that 2.5 hours into the show we're starting a text in. It's nice.
That's good, you know.
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be the day.
I must remember that.
also-
That's where I'm going wrong so often.
I've also found that the most dangerous council flats are always named after great writers.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
weird. That's in Birmingham and in London.
Really?
Yeah. Chaucer House, you wouldn't. Anyway, what else?
I'd like to dip briefly.
I'd like to teach the world. Come on, everybody. Perfect harmony, perfect harmony. Now there is false. Losing it a bit now. Pearls. He.
This is from Scott Perry.
Scott Perry, I like the sound of.
He sounds like he'd be very attractive. Just saying.
Yeah. God, that Scott
American.
Perry's hot. Hot Perry, I call him.
Hot Perry sauce.
He just sounds a little hot.
You do?
Hi, Frank, Alan and Emily. Following your query last week, I feel like we're ringing customer service centre. I can vouch that Mr. Briggs, that's Johnny Briggs,
Oh, yeah.
Mike Baldwin, is indeed fine and dandy. In fact, he was recently sat opposite me at the doctor's in Portishead. You can also...
Hold on. If he's fine and dandy, what's he doing at the doctor's?
Well, just a check-up, maybe. You've got to get an MOT.
God, who needs Twitter? You heard it here first.
You can also...
Johnny Briggs, ill.
You can also spot the 80s celeb in other parts of Portishead. Eddie Large is often seen on his balcony overlooking the posh marina area, or at the 2 for £10 meal deal at our local pub.
Good for
Have
him.
any of your other listeners been this lucky?
Oh, well, if you've spotted an interesting celebrity recently, do let us know. And I like the idea that he's at the 2 for 1 meal, but
Yes.
it sounds like he's there on his own.
I went on my own and ate 2 meals once. I ordered it and said, could you bring the fish and chips second?
Eddie Large is already...
Well on the way.
How much is that balcony going to take? I hope they're in his balcony, as he hasn't been spotted on Johnny Briggs' balcony. Some sort of... He's not a Fathers for Justice, is he, Eddie Large? I don't think so.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had an email in entitled I Can't See You. Hi Frank, Alan and Emily. I'm an avid podcast downloader and along with many other listeners I enjoy listening to your amusing ramblings during my Sunday morning run. I live in New Zealand and while spending my Saturday night doing my Christmas shopping, gotta love the internet, I thought I'd log on to the Absolute website so I could listen to the show live and also see you all on the webcam.
Lovely.
But the studio is empty! Exclamation mark.
What?
Are you all hiding under invisibility cloaks? Still love the show, even though I can't see your smiling faces. Much love, Kerry. Yep.
Frank makes us crouch under the desk.
Yeah.
Doesn't
We've-
make any
Not in a
sense.
sinister way.
the invisibility cloaks that were all over the internet for their, they're getting closer and closer to being able to do them, aren't they?
Well, I wear one.
We've all got
I
mine
know
now.
people walk into
So
me
we're not-
so much in London, I assume I wear one all the time.
Well, it's my greatest dream
I-
to have one.
I
6
can-
weeks to go.
I can only suppose that the webcam is set up in the wrong studio.
Is that what you've supposed?
I-
I just assumed some
Unless
massive
we are-
internet
I think
Armageddon
that's a little
meltdown.
mundane, that explanation. I
You think
sniff-
it's all a bit Twilight Breaking Dawn? Is that what you're going to say?
I think bit Merlin. I think
I'm liking it.
I sniff skullduggery on the part of Andy Bush.
What, you think he's trying to block us out visually?
Yes, I do.
The truth is, it is on in a different studio, and can I say, as a celebration of this, Emily's done the whole show in a bra and pants. And me and the cockerel are actually in a pantomime zebra outfit.
Lovely onesie.
It's snug. He did promise me that I could be the front bit for the end. Somehow that's gone by the wayside. Anyway, And we had some answers to our famous
Yes.
recent
Can't
people.
believe that you've lit up the system with your request about.
I'm
do you
very
live near a
interested
street
in this.
named after a celeb.
Because often you have to be,
Yeah.
dead and
We've had
old.
absolutely loads.
Oh, we have.
I mean, really.
Freddie says...
Thank you for that, by the way, for just reminding us there are people out there.
Yeah.
What's the goodies?
Freddie says, after moving to Derby last year, I was shocked to find myself driving down Lara Croft Way.
Hold
Yeah.
on, that's not even a person. No,
I'm
that's...
sorry she's not in Merlin.
Is that a joke, or is that real?
We
No,
have three
we've,
Lara Crofts.
we've
Reggie
had
says it as well.
various, and 638 said Lara Croft. Yeah, there's several. I mean, if you want living people that are impressive for naming a house after, there's a block of flats in North London called Ian Wright House.
Oh, well, that obviously, any absolute
That's
link
pretty cool.
we're
Yeah.
happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like that.
The Es-
right.
Apparently, the Esplanade in Exmouth is called John Turode Way, after the one from MasterChef that pulls extraordinary faces.
He's not even that famous.
Not
He's
the one.
pretty
It's not
famous.
even Greg Wallace. It's the
Not
other one.
even Greg Wallace. There's probably a Greg Wallace
Could be a
cul-de-sac
Tim
somewhere else.
Lovejoy.
Do you think it'll say that on his
Tim Lovejoy Close.
on his gravestone? It'll say not even Greg Wallace.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Cliff Richard Retirement Flats in Cheshire,
No, that's made
Hertfordshire.
up. That's
As he
made
came
up.
from there, that's from Matt.
He came from Lucknow, India.
Oh dear.
Cliff
Oh.
Richard, Harry Webb, as he was.
You know the Lara Croft that you said it's not even named after a person. Someone's texted just to clear up the Lara Croft puzzle. It's because the people who invented the game are based in Mackworth, Derby. Pleased to be of service.
Thank you very much. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. That's celebrating local industry, but in
Yeah.
a quite sexy way.
And whilst based in the Derbyshire area, I've always admired the people who live in a place called Clown in Derby. I think that'd be good,
A
wouldn't it?
town
Never
called
heard of that.
Clown.
Clown.
Clown Town.
Imagine
They
that.
basically live in Clown Town.
You'd like that, wouldn't you? Imagine if you lived there. Frank Skinner, Clown, just written on
I
the
don't
front
know.
of your envelope.
The trouble is with clown, it's a noble profession, but I feel it's been taken over by Dave Swift, who works in sales,
Right.
who listens to Five Live, who says things. Look at that clown. You know what I mean? So it's been spoilt now.
Oh, yeah.
That's my view.
Street in Aberdeen called White Stripes Drive.
No, there is not.
You can't just keep saying no, there
White
is not.
Stripes
in an
Drive in
angry
Aberdeen.
fashion.
You
Why
started
Ask
it.
people to text in.
Well, Daisy,
They're
our
texting
producer,
in
said
good faith.
there's a road in Ruislip named after Fern Cotton. Can that possibly be true?
Well,
You
I
have
know
to
what your
wait.
response will be. No.
You have
No,
to
there's
wait a
not.
bit longer
You
than
couldn't
that.
make it up,
But
could
what
you?
if Fern Cotton's involved in a terrible scandal and they'll have to rename
I
that?
can't imagine who you're thinking of. We've
What
also,
do you mean? Have I accidentally stumbled onto it?
I'm just thinking if there's any more good ones that we've had.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. A lot of them are sort of, proper, noble, political. Marcus Garvey is one, isn't he?
Yeah. Benny,
Steve
Marcus
Beaker.
Garvey, Steve
Benny Hill
Beaker.
Close.
Malcolm
Is he?
Sargent Way.
Apparently you're never more than 6 foot away from a rat either in London. Penny Hill Close is a warning that used to go up in the 1970s to nurses everywhere.
I live near Elstree Studios, and local streets there are named after the actors, e.g. Hancock Court, Kelly Close, Rutherford Close. That's
I love all that.
Soon for
see.
Kelly Brook, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It's a dual carriageway.
And somebody's just texted in, if I was famous, I would change my name to the High Street. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
No, then they'd have a road named after him.
Oh, I
yeah.
see, yeah. I get it now.
It's like changing your name to JWD479H rather than buying a personalised number plate. It's a cheap way of doing it. I'm fascinated by the whole concept. Anyway, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Thank you so much for listening, and we love you all.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.